If I can ask the sisters to please make their way into the men's hall, please. We will be beginning the program very shortly. If the sisters can please make their way into the men's hall and have a seat, inshallah, we'll be beginning the program shortly. Thank you. If I can have everyone please take a seat, inshallah, we'll begin with a loud salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Dear respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the Mahdi Youth Society, I'd like to welcome you all to our first career fair. My name is Asher Sayyid, I'm the president of the Mahdi Youth, and I'm here to briefly introduce the event and be the MC for the first portion. So brothers and sisters, today we gather with a shared sense of excitement and anticipation as we embark on a journey of exploration and opportunity. Whether you're a high school student mapping out your future, whether you're an undergraduate or graduate level university student trying to kickstart your career, or if you're a working professional already and you're willing to take the next steps into your career, this fair is your gateway to a world of possibilities. This career fair, designed for students, aims to provide a unique opportunity for attendees to connect with a diverse range of professionals, explore potential career paths, and gain valuable insights into the ever-evolving job market. Alhamdulillah, today we will be joined by over 35 professionals from various companies and fields who are all eager to give back and share their advice and guidance with all of you. The program for this fair will be as followed. We'll inshallah begin with a Quran recitation, followed by a panel discussion focused on navigating career paths. After that, we will be having an HR workshop focused on sharing some insights and tips to applying for roles. And then we will be opening up the session for the open networking portion and the booth visits. So without further ado, we have a jam-packed schedule. Let's begin with the Quran recitation. For that, I would like to invite up Brother Fuzail Sajjad. Let's invite him up with a loud salawat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد والد وما ولد. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد. أيحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا. أيحسب أن لم يره أحد. ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين وهديناه النجدين فلاقتحم العقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة فك رقبة أو إطعام في يوم ذي مسغبة يتيما ذا مقربة أو مسكينا ذا مطربة ثم كان من الذين آمنوا وتواصوا بالصبر وتواصوا بالمرحمة أولئك أصحاب الميمنة والذين كفروا بآياتنا هم أصحاب المشأمة عليهم نار مؤصدة صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you, Brother Fuzel, for that beautiful recitation. Inshallah, next we will be having our panel discussion focused on navigating career paths. For this, I would like to invite our Brother Zahib Raza, who will be hosting this session, and will also give a quick intro about this panel discussion. Let's invite him up with a loud salawat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much all for joining us on this career fair. As Brother Usher mentioned, my name is Zahib Raza. I'm a honors lifestyle student at McMaster University. And today, Mehdi Youth is very much blessed to be joined by three very high-level panelists. And with a loud salawat, I'd like to invite up all of them, starting with Farhan Jaffrey, who is a manager at Deloitte. So, sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Next up, we have Brother Qazim Agha, who is a partner at Aird and McBurney LP. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Lastly, we're joined by Sister Hiba Qazalbash, who is a policy analyst at the Public Health Agency of Canada. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Yep. Can everyone hear me okay? Yep. Okay. Thank you so much for joining all of us today. We're going to start off with a general question for all of you. Whoever wants can start. Can you all share a quick introduction about yourself? Please discuss your educational journey, beginning with your undergraduate studies, and share how your experiences have shaped your current career path. So I think Hibawaji will start with you, and then we'll work our way this towards. Sorry?
Can everyone hear me all right? Oh, that's loud. Okay, perfect. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I just want to start off by saying a huge thank you to the organizers and Mehdi Youth. I think this is a fantastic event. I wish that I had attended more of these when I was younger, so it's an honor to be here. So as mentioned, my name is Hiba. I am a public health policy and global health professional. I have a honors Bachelor of Science from the University of Toronto, where I double majored in life sciences, human health and disease, and psychology. It was in my fourth year where I started to realize that while the biological determinants of health are very interesting, that actually my interest was more so in the social determinants of health and exploring and understanding why social factors influence our health outcomes. And through a long-winded journey that led me to public health, and I did my Master's of Public Health, also from U of T at their Dalalana School, where I specialized in health promotion or social and behavioral health sciences. And alhamdulillah, that gave me the opportunity to really focus in on the social determinants of health. And public health is what happens before healthcare. It's how we can promote healthy communities and promote well-being so that individuals don't have to use healthcare, so that they can be less susceptible to disease. So looking forward to the rest of the panel and sharing more about that. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Farhan Jaffrey, and I work for Deloitte. It's a company that works specifically in a lot of different fields, but I'm in consulting, specifically tech consulting. I help companies launch and strategize their e-commerce plans. But essentially, when it comes to my educational journey, if we go back to high school, I wasn't the greatest high school student. I wouldn't say I wasn't the worst high school student, but I definitely wasn't the best high school student. And I know some of you are in high school now, and I think I did the absolute bare minimum just to get into my university program, which is Business Technology Management at Ryerson University. And back then it was an up-and-coming program, and I decided when I went to university that things are going to be a little different. I wanted to take all the opportunities, take advantage of the university as much as I could. So I decided to work hard on my academics, get my GPA to a point where I joined a co-op program. I joined as many extracurriculars as I could. I volunteered as much as I could. I hated networking. I still hate it with a passion till this day. But I did as much as that as I could. And eventually things were looking good. I felt like I still needed something more. So I joined the university's international exchange program because I really decided that I needed to shake things up and I really needed to challenge myself. So I did a semester abroad in Perth, Australia. I know sounds very random. Why Perth out of all the places in the world? Why not even Sydney and Melbourne in Australia? But Perth is actually the absolute furthest place you can fly to from Toronto. So if you were to dig a hole in the ground right here, you would end up in Perth, Australia. And it's a place where I had no family, didn't know a single soul, and I said, I just need to know if I can do this. I eventually moved there, and that's where I really learned how to connect with people, how to talk to people, because I was forced in that environment. I could be there alone, but I didn't want to do that at all. So it really took me out of my shell. I really grew there. I really self-reflected while I was there, alone in the desert in Australia. And I came back with kind of a new lease on life and at least an ambition in my education and my career. So then in my final years, I finished my last co-op term and finished my last academic year and eventually got my job at Deloitte, where I am today, actually. So that's a solid 8 years I've been there. So the key difference between my high school experience and my university experience, I can boil it down to just one thing, and that was the group of friends that I had. So in high school, I didn't have maybe the best friends, or I had friends that didn't really challenge me, that weren't really encouraging me to do better. In university, I found a friend group that was a group of high achievers, a group that challenged each other. We always kind of competed to get the best marks on exams. We drilled each other on interview questions. We really helped each other out to get to where we are today. So it's really important to make sure you understand who's in your circle, because they make a really big impact on your life.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'll start off by echoing what Sister Hiba said. Well done, very well done. As for my educational journey, I did my bachelor's in chemistry from Dalhousie University, honors, followed by a PhD in chemistry at McGill University. Then went on to do work in the industry on the R&D side, actually more on the development side and manufacturing side, and was a senior research scientist at a pharmaceutical company, had, shukr alhamdulillah, good fortune, and then decided to change my careers. Became a trainee from a senior research scientist at a law firm to go into intellectual property law at Bennett Jones, and then went from there to Smart & Biggar, another IP firm. Was a patent agent at that point, then went to Rideout in Maybe, worked there as a patent agent for a number of years, and shukr alhamdulillah became a partner at the firm. Then when Rideout Maybe got actually absorbed or sold last year, had some fun times with that on a personal level, and then moved to another firm called Ed McBurney, where I'm currently a partner and work on intellectual property. So since you mentioned there are high school students here, if I'm sounding old, which I already feel I do, intellectual property is more about protection of assets. Like if you've got a brand, let's say Adidas, you want to protect the branding of it, there's a trademark to it. If you've got innovation, inventions which solve problems, there are patents for it. Design patents, utility patents, and there's a whole field around it. So the nice thing about what I do is I get to see, and I'm on the patent side, I get to see what sort of problems people are solving, what are the upcoming problems, and what are the solutions that they're coming up with. So that's the fun thing about what I do.
Thank you so much for sharing. Can you share your experience in navigating the higher education landscape to progress to where you currently are, including any challenges you faced and how you overcame them?
Thank you so much. I think that's a great question. I just want to start off by saying I totally forgot to mention where I am today, which is the Public Health Agency of Canada. I feel like that's important information to share, so maybe that'll start us off on this question. But currently I work as a policy analyst at the Public Health Agency of Canada. I work in the Office of International Affairs, and I support Canada's bilateral relationships and engagement with key partners and countries in Asia, Africa, and Europe. And I help support and prepare for Canada's presence at international meetings and events in different fora. So for example, the G7, the G20, and the World Health Organization. So that's just a little bit about my current role. And I'm so sorry, do you mind repeating the question now? Thank you.
Can you share your experience in navigating the higher education landscape and basically explain how you got where you are right now, including any challenges and how you overcame them?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be discussed here. I think reflecting back on my time in high school, I was one of those people that didn't always know exactly what I wanted to do. I know some people from a very young age have a very great understanding of what they want to do in life, and they have a calling, and more power to those people. I unfortunately wasn't one of them. But when I was in grade 12, I was actually debating between doing engineering and health sciences, which are two wildly different fields. I got accepted into engineering and life sciences at U of T, but ultimately we we can see where I ended up. And I think at each different step of my career and my educational journey, so whether it was being in grade 12 and going through applications, or being in my 4th year when I was getting ready to apply to med school and deciding that actually that's not what I wanted to do, I think navigating higher education is challenging because there's so much out there. There's so many opportunities, and especially as we live in this digital era, we have access to so many different resources. And I think for me personally, it was really networking. And I think Brother Farhan touched upon this. I know it's a daunting word, but really it's just talking to people, right? It was meeting professionals, seeing what individuals are doing in the real world. And, you know, when you talk to someone, you might get that gut feeling of, hey, that's really interesting. I kind of see myself doing what you do. And that's really what led me down to the path I am in now. I knew from a young age that I wanted to be in a field that brought in my core values of social justice and advocacy. And so it was a process of figuring out, how do I do that? And of course, there's so many challenges that come along the way, right? No one's going to tell you that university and getting your master's or even your PhD is a walk in the park. It's certainly not. But I think building that community around you, relying on extracurriculars to, you know, give you connections to other individuals, have a greater, you know, sense of belonging on campus. I think all of those things were really, really instrumental in helping me cement that understanding of who I am and what I want to do. And I think being involved on campus throughout my undergrad really provided that opportunity to meet others, to network, to have friends that I still have today that I know will be friends for the rest of my life. And so I think one of the biggest challenges, which a lot of you might be thinking about while you're in the seat right now, is, well, what next? How do I know it's the right choice? How do I make that right choice? Is there even such thing as a right choice, right? Because as we're hearing and as you can see, careers are not linear, and it's okay if there's bumps in the road and things change. You know, sometimes there's global pandemics, and that also, you know, cause a ripple in the system. So all that to say that I think my biggest challenge was sort of figuring out where I fit, you know, taking my values and finding a career that I could apply those. And alhamdulillah, I feel that I was able to do that. So thank you.
And I think I'm going to echo a little bit of what Hibba was talking about as well, just in terms of that feeling of being lost. And I think very few of us really know what we want to do from a young age and continue to want to do that thing as we grow and evolve. So for me specifically, and I'm sure for most of the people in this room as well, there's two kind of key points where I felt completely lost and was trying to find the right way. And that was in grade 12 when choosing a university, because looking at all the university programs and all the different options is very daunting, and they make you really feel like you're choosing your life at that moment and you're going to be stuck in that life for the rest of your life. And it's really not the case at all. So don't ever feel like you're making a life choice at grade 12. You're still very young, and nobody's expecting you to really dictate the rest of your life at that point. And then the second point is about in your 3rd year of university, when you're at the point where, like, okay, I've been doing everything right up until this point. I'm about to enter my 4th year, and then I'm entering this whole new, scary, brand new world that I have no idea what to expect. I don't even know what job I'm going to apply to. I didn't even know I didn't know I wanted to get into consulting until my 4th year, my final year at university. So don't feel like because you don't have everything on a silver platter, or you don't have everything mapped out very definedly. Don't feel like you're in a place where you're at a disadvantage or you're doing something wrong. It's very normal to be lost, and enjoy this time of exploration. Heba mentioned a lot of good things, like network as much as you can, speak to as many people as you can, family, friends, even outside the community, see what they do, see what they like, see what they don't like. And it's also important to experiment yourself as well, because that's all theoretical, but once you go in, do the internships, do your co-ops, do your volunteering, and see what you really like and don't like, and then you can take that back, self-reflect. And like Heba mentioned as well, even when you get into this brand new world, into your career, It's not linear, it's not written in stone. You can always make pivots and adjustments. It's always opportunity for you. But that's my answer.
Thank you. So the two, 3 points that I want to touch on based on what the other panelists have said, and they've raised some really good points. As to what I wanted to do, like, Sister Hiba mentioned and Brother Farhan mentioned, some people know what they want to do. I did. I wanted to play tennis. I didn't make it very far, So that was my fun part. That's what I wanted to do. And I still actually do that to some extent. I do that, I play for fun, and I enjoy it. And I engage with people, interact with people based on that. As to what I wanted to do for a career perspective, well, that was a failure. I hurt my back and I couldn't go very far. As to, from a professional perspective, I had no interest. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I, in fact, asked my parents, what would you like me to be? I'm good at math. I enjoy math. A bit of a weirdo, fine. Good at the sciences. I'm decent. I'm not really very good, but I'm all right. But what should I do? And my father gave me a very good, his take was, do what you enjoy. Don't worry about making money. If you do what you enjoy and you wish to it and you try to excel at it, everything else will happen. Don't go about it in terms of, hey, this is where the money is made. This is what this stuff for that matter. This is what you enjoy. Pathways will open from there. And to me at that point, that was like, oh, that's really helpful. Now I don't know what to take, So, and when we moved to Canada, I started university here. And at that time, I was finishing off grade 12 in Pakistan. And my older brother, selected my classes for me. So I said, all right, sure, select what you want. Typical, basic family subjects, chemistry, biology, physics, math, and English, first year classes. Okay, sure. And the system that I was studying over there, I didn't have math in grade 11 and grade 12. Came here and started university. That's fine. Well, the math that he had selected for me was a different course than what was required as a prerequisite for my physics course. I didn't know the system here. And halfway through, I didn't know anything about integration or derivatives and stuff like that. And the physics course changed, requiring derivatives and integration. Went there to a prof, and I'm like, how do I solve this problem? He says, it's simple, you just got to integrate it. And to me it was, integrate what? I didn't even know what integration was. So I had different challenges. You guys are not going to be facing some of those challenges. Some of you may be. But the bottom line that I want to make is, you will face challenges. If you're not facing challenges, there's something wrong. But those challenges truly are opportunities. I've been through challenges, different challenges throughout my life. I've seen my kids go through challenges. My son currently works for the government of Ontario. He graduated from Waterloo. My daughter's in her last year at McMaster. The challenges are a beautiful thing. They're an opportunity for you. Whether you take it as a burden or you take it as an opportunity to excel and grow is up to you. So you will face challenges. Please recognize that. And even now, I face challenges. Last year was a very challenging time for me when my previous firm was being sold. So in reality, truly there are opportunities. And the reason why I got into chemistry, simple. The prof. I enjoyed what he was talking about. He was talking about stuff that we can't see, how molecules are, how they move, how they change, their structure. Imagining that clicked with me. And then I came home and told my father and my mother, this is what I'm going to do. And my dad's like, sure, do it. Do what you like. And, in terms of what kind of career I will have, like I enjoyed engineering. My father was an engineer. He had his own firm. And that was absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed that stuff. But I just picked this path because I enjoyed what the prof was saying. And, I told him what kind of opportunities are out there. Well, at that time when you're young, you're like, oh, okay, that sounds good enough. But when you get into it, you're like, oh, this is very different. It's very difficult to get your first opportunity after you finish off your studies. That's really very difficult. Don't be put down. Don't be hopeless. It works out. One thing I can guarantee you, I've been doing this for the last nearly 20 years, career counseling. I can guarantee you one thing, and I don't mind saying that very clearly. I can guarantee you one thing. As long as you keep on trying, things will work out. You'll not get what you want. Please, you will not get what you want. You'll get what you need. Write it down. I don't mind it. I can swear by it because it's not my promise. You know, it works out, that's for sure. Just keep trying. As for networking, and if I'm taking too long, tell me and I'll stop.
Bismillah.
You know, networking, please don't network.
Whoa.
Don't network. Build relationships. Go and talk to people. Here's my business card, and that's about it. We all have a journey. We all have a story. You connect with people based on values. Talk to people. Learn about their values. If you've got similar values, you'll automatically bond with them. Bond with people. Those relationships will take you much further than, hey, just a nice little conversation. Anyone can do small talk. Small talk is not, critical. When you bond, you build relationships, they'll remember you and you remember them. You'll remember their children. And I'll stop there. So, thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing. You touched upon, you yourself, Brother Firanz, has talked about how you really didn't know what you were doing right up until you started university. And you talked about how you were in, chemistry and then pharmaceuticals, and then you switched to law. So what steps should students take when they're in that position where they sort of don't have any clue on what to do? And sort of like, what advice can you give?
Sure. Great question. So I did this with my kids. My daughter asked me in terms of what I should do, and I'm like, history's repeating itself. So we sat down and we took the reverse approach. Let's make a list of the different opportunities and career paths that one can think of and can find on the net for that matter. You've got a lot more resources now. Compile everything and have some sort of appreciation of what each of them is about. Then play the elimination game. Remove what you don't want to do. It's much easier. It's like cheating, right? You have that puzzle basically where you need to get to the sentinel and you've got a maze. Let's start from the middle in terms of what is that middle. To do that, get rid of stuff that you don't want to do. At least you've cleared out the path in terms of what's left. Then look at, okay, what's left? What appears to be appealing to you? Where are your own strengths? Where do you see yourself in terms of, from a lifestyle perspective, what kind of a lifestyle it has, what kind of work they do, the value, is it providing? So if my value is, I want to provide back to the community or society, does this work that I'm doing, does it satisfy that criteria? Because at the end of the day, you can make money, but that may not make you happy and satisfied. It has to come back to your values. It has to be internal. And some of this is a little, may not touch base, but also look at, there was another point that I wanted to make in terms of, how to get there. So you've got eliminated what you don't want, you've got what you left basically, you've got your strengths. You look at lifestyle for that matter, what kind of lifestyle it has. There was one other point that was important to it. If it comes to me, I will speak about it, sorry. But at least do that step. You've got different opportunities there. Oh, thank you. What are the problems that society is facing that are associated with that? That's really important. At the end of the day, you'll be working towards solving problems. The bigger the problem, the more valuable you can be and the higher the demand. AI, for instance, or big data is a very big thing because people want to understand the situation, come up with different problems. If you've got association with that, amazing. Environment, very big problem. All those things are big problems, and if you can work in those areas and if you enjoy that, there's a higher demand. So start with eliminating. Start with eliminating what you don't want to be. Does that help?
Thank you so much. Brother Farhan, did you want to add anything to that?
Nothing much more to add to there. I think Kazimbai really covered it really well. I think it's really important to see kind of the strengths that you have as well internally. Look, there's online tools that you can use as well to find your strengths and what you're good at and see what makes you happy from a value perspective. I think lifestyle is very important as well. Look at the prospective career paths as well. Are they opportunities in this city? Is that somewhere where you have to move abroad? Is that something that you're comfortable doing? So making sure that all those factors are considered are very important. But I think on paper is one thing, and actually doing something is completely different. So I think it's also important to experiment, actually volunteer, intern, co-op, whatever you can do just to get your foot in the door and really try out what you're doing, because you can think, oh, I want to be a graphic designer. That sounds really cool. I love doing graphic design on the side. But when you do it as a career, like, oh, this is a hobby that used to make me feel happy. Now it makes me feel like sad, like, because I have to do it out of necessity and not out of pleasure. So things can be really different once you get into the role. So it's important to experiment as much as possible as well.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move on to the next question then. How do individuals identify their strengths and passions to align with any potential careers? And what advice would you give to sort of develop any strengths or skills required to be a professional?
I think like we covered it a lot in the last question as well. How to identify your strengths. We talked about self-reflection a lot with the exercise that Kazimai mentioned. Take a pen and paper, write things down, write down prospective career paths, write your strengths, what your values are, what you want out of a lifestyle. And then I talked about step 2 is the experimentation, going out, finding jobs, careers that fall within those skill sets. And then after that phase is when you need to do some self-reflection and really think to yourself, what steps do I need to reach to the level I want to get to? Like if I finally found that I want to work in this particular career, what steps do I need to take there? And a lot of the times the careers that we're going to be working on or working in don't even exist today, especially if you're working in the tech industry. A lot of these jobs haven't been created yet. So instead of looking at a career, maybe look at a skill or a problem that you're trying to solve or a growing technology and really focus on that. There's a lot of self-learnings that you can do for free. University of YouTube there's also a lot of free programs online as well that you can look into, kind of differentiate yourself, certifications. So it's important to explore all your options and see what you really want to do.
Just building off of what Brother Farhan said, I think honestly you've covered a lot of it, and those are all really, really great ways to identify your strengths and passions. Maybe just continuing on that same vein, I think it's really important to be open to new experiences and trying different things. I think it can be very nerve-wracking to put yourself out there. You know, if you're a student, you're already struggling maybe to balance, you know, a very busy, a very intensive course load. But I think it's important to be open to try additional experiences because, as my fellow panelists have mentioned, learning about something, reading about something, and trying something in practice and as a career can be two very different things. And I think you'll find that you'll learn so much about yourself just based on the volunteer opportunities that you try, or the co-ops, or the internships, or the relationships you build with professionals, and you gain firsthand insights into the realities of different careers. And I think you need to keep an open mind as you're surveying and going through this vast ocean of different opportunities, and really trust your gut. about what sticks out to you. I know that, for instance, when I was in university, I was on a traditional pre-med track. I thought that that's something I would enjoy, that that's something I wanted to do from a very young age. And again, it was some of those, not the academic opportunities, not necessarily the courses that taught me that that wasn't what I wanted, but other opportunities that I was undertaking in undergrad that led me to that. And for instance, one of those is I applied for a grant during the pandemic to explore student well-being and how the COVID-19 pandemic was impacting student wellness and well-being. And through that process, I found that, hey, I really like research. I really like working with students. I really like doing interviews, going into classrooms, going into communities and learning from individuals. I like the advocacy piece because I was able to take that data, analyze it, and use it to advocate for more flexible academic policies. And I thought, well, this is a really cool opportunity. This is a smaller scale. This is something I'm doing at university. How do I take this and perhaps turn it into a career? What are the skills that I'm liking about this? I'm liking working with others. I'm liking the big picture. I like that this is a community level approach, whereas medicine sometimes isn't. And it was, really honing in on those, some of those passions, some of those strengths, and being open to those experiences that ultimately helped me find out that there's a lot out there.
Thank you. I'll just try and add very little to that because both of them mentioned a really good point. Getting to know about yourself, learn about yourself. It's a different thing for that matter, but as you grow, there's the technical aspect that are your strengths. Like mine was, hey, I'm decent at math, but then there is a human nature aspect of it. Appreciate that better, learn about it a little bit. I was a little dumb that way, all right? To me, it was, hey, I'm having fun, I'm doing it, basically. And many a times I'm still doing that right now at this stage. If I'm having fun in something, I'll do it. Because but then there's an aspect of satisfaction. So there's technical aspect, then there's a human aspect to it. Think about those aspects. Things about in terms of what you like and what you don't like. They'll help you grow. For instance, I enjoy the human aspect of things and helping people. There's a satisfaction that I get from that is at a different level. There's a scientific aspect. So we're not just one path, one natured only. The high that one can get from doing research is unexplainable. While I was doing my PhD, when you solve a problem and you understand how things work, solve that puzzle, it's absolutely amazing. You're like, I know how this thing works now. Nobody does, but I do, because it wasn't solved. There's a human aspect to it as well. When I work with people, helping them protect their inventions, they'll pick up the phone once in a while and just call and say, well, I had a client that did that. Hey, Qasim, and I'm like, Julian, everything okay? You're calling out of the blue. He says, I just wanted to call and say thank you. And that was very nice of him. That may not resonate with you at the moment, and that's perfectly fine. But think about it and reflect inwards. To me right now, what I'm enjoying is not just the human, but society and sustainability. So I'm involved with creating a clean tech startup. Actually, not a clean tech accelerator out in Kingston. Is Canada's first clean tech accelerator. Why? Because I enjoy it. It may be a failure, but it's worth the shot. But learn about yourself. That's the important thing.
Thank you so much for all the answers. Kazim, I know you talked about when you were talking to your kid that you said that when picking a career, money isn't really an issue and you should instead focus about what you're interested in, what you like. So how do you think students can effectively balance pursuing their own passions while also thinking about financial stability in the future?
One can make money doing anything. I can clean toilets and I can make money. That's not a problem. It's very possible. But if I hate cleaning toilets, it's a pain. So how do you balance the two? Opportunities will come. So your question was, if I understand correctly, looking at lifestyle.
Yeah.
And what are the different opportunities and the pressures that we get? Like many families get the pressure, I don't know how you guys are, whether you get pressure that you got to go into, hey, medicine, law, engineering, banking for that matter. Those are the courses. Appreciate the fact that where that is coming from. Your parents aren't trying to put you down in that path simply because, hey, that's where the money is and that's where you'll be happy. They have your best interests in mind. Recognize also that they are coming from an environment where, in Pakistan, where I was born and stuff like that, those were the paths. Those are the paths if you want to have a decent lifestyle. Circumstances are different. But that doesn't mean that you need to only take those paths. You need to have a conversation with them. You need to be on the same page. Appreciate in terms of they have your best interests at heart. They're not trying to push you in one direction or another for one reason or another. You can make money regardless in different areas. As a chemist, I could have made very good money, but I changed paths. So opportunities, what you need to focus on is what you like, and very important, excellence. Please, please, please do not aim for mediocrity. If you're aiming for mediocrity, don't expect much. Aim for excellence. And this is a weakness within us. When I say us as a community, we aim for mediocrity. We're happy at that. We're satisfied. Oh, this is good enough. Aim for excellence. Try and be at the top in terms of the value that you get out, not just from a return to yourself, but return to community at a greater level is very different. All right? So that's what I would say.
Frama, did you have anything to add?
Nothing more to add, but I just want to touch a little bit on what Kazim Bhai said at the end there, and aiming for mediocrity and how we should really aim at a level higher. To go back to a point that I mentioned before, it's not something that you need to do just yourself. I think the people that you surround yourself with also have to be aiming for excellence as well. They have a huge influence on us, our ambitions, where we go in life. And I gave you that example with my high school experience versus my university experience, which was night and day because of the people I was around. It boils down specifically to that. So don't only aim for excellence yourself, but surround yourself with people that inspire you, that keep you going, and keep peers that continue to make you more ambitious and hungry. That's all I can add.
I think that's really great, and that's a really important point. I think I'll build upon what Brother Kazim's first point was. Just very briefly, I think that it's very important as you're going out into the world and trying to figure out where you fit in, that you dispel the myth or the notion that, as both panelists have said, that you can't have both, that you can't have a career that you're passionate about, that makes money. It's very possible to find both. If you play on your strengths, find your passions, explore about yourself, reflect some of the themes of what we've been saying, I think it's very possible to find that career that really is a good fit. And I know, again, as Brother Kazim was mentioning, that sometimes our parents or our elders come from a different background, a different mindset, where the careers that the more traditional, quote unquote, careers that they're telling you about is the careers that they grew up having, right? But now we're in an era where so much is changing. There's careers out there that didn't exist in my parents' time, for example, right? And I knew that as I was entering university, as I was entering my master's, as a second generation immigrant, I had so much privilege to have the opportunity to pursue that education, to do that research, to find out about myself, to find a career that really does fit. And this is your opportunity to do that, right? To really figure out what it is that makes you passionate. What is it that you see yourself doing every day? And of course, a career isn't without its challenges, right? Just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. You want to be in a field, in an industry, in a position that's going to encourage you to grow personally and professionally, in a career that's going to bring in your personal values and goals. So I think all that to say that just keep an open mind, don't go into it thinking that, oh, I've heard that this field, folks don't make any money, right? Do the primary research, do that secondary research, look into it yourself, see, okay, what titles are available, what options are there, do I know anyone in this field if this is something that interests me? And I think if you go in knowing that you want to find something where you have both, a career that of course does pay well, but that one that you're also interested in, then, inshallah, you will find it. You will get there, and opportunities are out there. You just have to keep looking for them.
Thank you so much. In a rapidly changing job market, anything can happen. Some jobs open up, some jobs close down. For example, Hibaji, I can imagine that during COVID, maybe your line of work, expanded versus, other job markets may have, closed down for a bit. How can students basically, what strategies can students employ to stay sort of adaptable and resilient in, those sort of circumstances?
Thank you. I can just start us off. And absolutely, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I know that public health was one of those buzzwords where folks who maybe had never heard about public health before, it was everywhere, it was in the news, it's all we were thinking about. And now as we emerge from the pandemic, public health is actually starting to shrink again. We're going back towards pre-pandemic jobs, roles, funding, because we don't need as much funding, for example, in the government towards public health, as we know that it is no longer as big of a global emergency. So I think the first piece of advice I would say to ensure that you're staying adaptable in these changing, evolving times is something that has been mentioned up here before, but I'll say it again because it's so important, is continuous learning. I think you want to adopt the mindset that learning doesn't stop once you graduate from a degree. Once you're done with high school or university or higher education, learning is something you're going to be doing throughout the rest of your career and hopefully for the rest of your life, right? And learning can be in many different ways and many different formats. There's online certifications, there's workshops, there's classes. I think Brother Farhan mentioned, even just YouTube. Now we have so many videos, so many books, access to so many different resources where you can stay up to date. So you want to make sure that you're caught up with all of the industry trends to see where your industry is moving. And I think, for example, if you know that, we might wake up tomorrow and a certain title might not be available as a job anymore, right? But I know that I'm not in it just to have that one title. I'm in a specific industry with a specific skill set, with a specific knowledge set, and I can take all of that and pivot it perhaps to a different aspect, right? So if right now I'm in public policy, maybe tomorrow everything will change and I'll need to go into, for example, consulting, right? But knowing that I have the skill set and the knowledge and I'm continually learning and I'm open to different experiences and I'm open to different positions and networking with different individuals, I think is really, really important to ensure that, you're not on a one-track mind where you think that this is my career and 10 years I'll have this, and 20 years I'll have that. I think it's really about being open to whatever your career brings, whatever learning opportunities there are, whatever continues to change in the world in real time. So yeah, I'll leave it there and then I'll open it up to you.
I think Hiba covered that very well, especially the different points on continuous learning. I know once we get into university, it's important to step back and to celebrate, but it's also important to understand that every finish line is another starting line, and that's going to continue for the rest of your life. Cradle to grave, we always need to continuously be learning. And when you're done university, you get that first job, you're very excited. You can take a step back, you can celebrate, but you're starting another journey, and you got to understand that your finish line is another starting line, and that's going to keep going on for the rest of your life. So you need to make sure you're in that mindset. Every time you climb a mountain peak, you can celebrate, but you also need to look in the distance and see all the other mountain peaks and think about how you're going to achieve those next levels and how you're going to summit those mountains as well. The pandemic affected pretty much every single industry. One specific point in my world here, in the world of e-commerce, was a lot of folks were scared to go to physical retail stores and shop, especially for basic necessities, let's say for groceries. So there was a huge demand for one of my clients, a large grocery retailer in Canada, to launch a home delivery system for groceries. And that's a whole new world that I wasn't used to. And there's a whole slew of challenges when it comes to grocery retail. We know these are all perishable goods. There's like, how do you get a lollipop from a factory to a home in a complete frozen state, not over frozen? And how do we make sure that the fruits are as fresh as possible? So there's a lot of challenges. Do we put freezers in the vans? The decision was to use dry ice because the van couldn't power enough freezing capability. So that was a unique challenge that we had to solve, and something that I never had to solve in the past. But like Hiba mentioned, it's important to be adaptable, keep an open mind, and really be hungry to continuously learn.
Thank you. I'll echo what Sister Hiba and Brother Farhan said. I mean, excellent points. The only aspect that I'll add is, both mention it's a journey. Enjoy the ride. Have fun while you're doing it, all right? Don't make it, okay, next. Enjoy it. Brother Farhan made a very good point. When you covered something, you look back and enjoy what you've done. Okay, now next, what's up?
Thank you so much. This next question, I think Farhan, you sort of touched upon, co-ops and internships, but we sort of wanted to ask, for all of you, what sort of experiential learning opportunities did you go on and helped you in your careers? And could you speak about what you would recommend to students in terms of exploring more, experientially rather than in a classroom?
Yeah, absolutely. I would attribute a lot of my success to being in a co-op program. So if you are in high school or you are in university and there is that option, then I definitely recommend exercising that option and moving towards that, putting all your efforts and moving towards that. But if you're not into a co-op program, that's completely okay as well, because all co-op is just an easier way to get access to some of these positions, but it's something that you can still do on your own as well through internships, and I know internships are very competitive as well, but also volunteering. Volunteering at the My Society, but also outside of the My Society as well, like outside of the community, break out your comfort zone, meet new people, meet people of different backgrounds, not just like of a Shia background. Make sure that your friend group is really diverse. So those things are very important. But while you are in university, I think work experience is very key. Your first work experience shouldn't be right out of university. And when I'm doing resume screenings for new grads, there's kind of 3 or 4 key important things that we look for. Number 1 is academic, and out of those 4 things, you really need to excel out of 3 out of the 4. So you can be kind of lacking in one area, and that's completely okay. Number 1 is academics. So that's very simple, straightforward. But again, it's one of those areas that you can be lacking on if you're strong in the other 3. The other one is extracurricular and volunteer experience. So that's absolutely important. So outside of job experience, like you mentioned as well, universities offer such a large amount of opportunities when it comes to extracurriculars and student groups. And through these groups, you really probably learn a lot more than a co-op opportunity, because you're given a lot more responsibility. You're given a lot more chances to really prove yourself and make mistakes. You're in a little bit of a safer environment, so you can experiment a little bit more. So definitely join as many student groups as you're capable of handling with your workload. So that's number 2. Number 3 is the work experience, like I mentioned. And number 4 is something unique about you that you think that you can describe in an interview that kind of sets you a little bit apart from the others. So for me, my academics probably was the least of the three, and I hit the other three targets, so I was able to land my position there. But of those 4 quadrants, you really need to try to focus on 3 of them. Hopefully I was able to answer the question. Anybody else?
I think that was a really good, well-rounded answer. I think the only piece that I would add is I know that for certain fields or for certain programs, there may not be co-op or internship options. But with that being said, there are a whole host of other forms of opportunities. For instance, just to give a few examples, I know that at the University of Toronto specifically, they have specific courses that are experiential learning courses. And I will go as far out to say that I'm sure every university has those types of courses. So courses where you're volunteering or working with nonprofit organizations. I had the opportunity to do a research opportunity program, which was a 2-year course where I had the opportunity to write a thesis while I was still in my undergrad. There was also something called the work-study program at U of T, where this was specifically designed for students to work part-time on campus while they were completing their studies. And the professors, the student groups that they were working with understood that they were students. So it was manageable, there was recognition that, there's midterms and finals, and it really felt more balanced. So I would say that experiential learning is very, very important, and that Brother Farhan touched on a lot of it, but through your different academic institutions, there probably are a whole other slew of things that you can do, and it's important to learn that earlier on if you can. I would say talk to the dean, talk to academic advisors, talk to upper year students, or be enrolled in mentorship programs, because I think that's really how you can learn about some of those interesting hands-on learning opportunities and courses.
So why are you going to university? To learn, to build up your skills, right? It's an opportunity for you to build up, learn, and that's where your skill sets are developed, your knowledge base and your abilities. You're investing in yourself. So that's the time to invest in yourself. This is the time to invest in yourself, to build your skill set, so you're starting at a much better point. Looking at opportunities, don't worry about the money and stuff like that at this point. In my instance, for that matter, after my 2nd year of university, that's when I said, okay, I want to do chemistry. I enjoy it. And I went around talking to different profs, asking, hey, do you have a position for a summer student? Most of them said no. One of them basically said, I have to see how much funding I have and stuff like that. And I said, that's fine, whatever you got. And then he looked at it after a little while. I went back to him the 2nd day. He says, I can't offer you, the full money that you deserve. Basically, I can give you about maybe a quarter of what a person should make. I'm like, I don't care. It's not about the money at this stage. It's about the experience and learning from it. He gave me half, so I got 50% pay. And he said, you can work half time only. And I'm like, no, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to learn. And that's what I did. My only requirement, he said, was safety. And in the lab, chemical lab, you want to be safe. And my next question was, where's the fire extinguisher? Not the wisest thing to say. He was worried after that. But that led to many opportunities later on. The next year, there was a scholarship, and I was fortunate to get that scholarship for research because of my previous year's experience. I thought, wow, I pay back right away. In that summer, I also met with somebody who was a postdoc, built a great relationship with her. Very nice person. And I said, fine, part ways, no issues in terms of, she went into IP, intellectual property as well. So she was a postdoc, I was a 2nd year student. About 10 years difference between us. Guess where I met her? Last year, and now I work with her. So from 1995 to 2024. That time where I built that relationship and had an experience, my move last year to the new firm was very critical. It was a very challenging time for myself personally. And all that happened, and I'm like, wow, the opportunity that came up was because of somebody I met 30 years ago. I would have never thought about that. So, at this stage, enjoy yourselves, but work and enjoy yourself. And when I say work, don't make it a burden. You know, get experience, build those skills, learn. This is your time and opportunity, and do it. Don't worry about the money aspect of it. So,
Thank you so much. I think we have time for one last question. Maybe this is the most important question. How can parents support their children through this journey of navigating career paths and educational streams?
I think we touched upon it a little bit here. It's important for the parents to keep an open mind when it comes to their kids, especially as new immigrants. Things are changing really rapidly here. The job market is changing very rapidly. Your child might want to go into a direction that is not aligned to what you thought this child was going to do, and I think that's very natural. Everybody has their own personalities, their skills, their wants, and it's important to kind of allow your children to be able to explore at their own pace. I know we try to shelter the kids as much as we can with our own experiences, but sometimes they need to make their own mistakes to really, really learn and benefit. So we can try as much as we can, but we also need to make sure that we keep an open mind and make sure that we support the children in whatever they're going in, and yeah.
Thank you. Yes, for sure. I think an open mind is definitely very important. And I think something that goes hand in hand with that is active listening. I think parents have so much wisdom and a wealth of knowledge to share, but it's also very, very important to actively listen. Listen to your child or the student. You know, they're coming from their own experiences. They also know what their strengths are, what their passions are, what their capabilities are. And I think we need to really lean into that, be that friend, be that cheerleader. And once you can actively listen, then that's when you can help them, encourage them to grow and try different opportunities. And I think the next piece or the next step I would say would be to encourage them to try new things. I think it's very hard to get out of your comfort zone, but I think having a parent there encouraging you that, you know, they're alongside you as you try a new job or a new volunteer opportunity and you're, you know, going outside of your shell and your comfort zone, I think for a student as a child, that can make a world of a difference. It can give you that confidence to know that you have someone there supporting you as you go out into the world to try different things.
So I have two kids. I think you already have a sense of that. My older son, who graduated from Waterloo, he took a course in chemistry just to show me that in terms of, and after that, he said, I'm never taking sciences again. To the point that he pushed my daughter out of sciences as well. And that's fine. To me, it was do what you enjoy. Your career is a portion of your life, an important portion, but it's not your entire life. Your life is much bigger than that. So do what you like, enjoy. It's a journey. Excel at it. So my son said, okay, I'm going to do UI, UX. And I didn't even know what that meant. You know, and still at times I ask him to explain it to me. So, but he's doing all right. And the important thing was, as long as you keep on trying, things will work out. Try and excel, and your parents have your best interests at heart. They recognize that aspect. What Sister Hiba mentioned, have a conversation. Engage with them. This is what you're thinking of. The fact that you're thinking and you're going to be trying, they're going to be a lot more receptive. They're concerned about you, and it's out of love for you that they're reaching out to saying, do this, do this. And at times, it's personal fears, anxiety as a parent. Sure, as a parent, I have fears and anxiety when it comes to my children. I want the best for them. So I say stuff, and my wife will basically go, "Oh, shut up." You know, take it easy. Don't let those overcome you. So reach out, interact with your parents, and talk to them. This is what you're thinking. They're there to support you. Sometimes you will disagree, and that's fine. But once you have that conversation, they're going to be a lot more receptive. Hope that was helpful. I do have to apologize. Unfortunately, I have another event to get to. I did inform the organizer. If you have any questions, and if I'm not able to speak to you, please, please, please feel free to reach out to me. Talk to me. Happy to help. Any way you like, for that matter, to the extent that I can. If it's not today, another day, Jummah, another event, while I'm here, no issues at all. Happy to, all right?
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, yes, we are out of time for this part of the event. I'd like to thank all three of you very much for sharing your wisdom with us. And I believe Hibabaji and Farhan Bhai will be available afterwards if you want to talk to them one-on-one. So inshallah, let's invite Brother Usher back up and we'll move on to the next part of the event with a loud salawat.
Let's recite another loud Salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad for these amazing individuals. Salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala. Before we dive into the next portion, I just want to take this moment and kind of brag a little. I've known a lot of these individuals personally in my life. Hibabaji I've known since I was a kid. And mashallah, just seeing her grow and just seeing her do such amazing things has been a huge inspiration for me. Farhan Bhai, I've gotten the honor to know these last 2 years. I did a co-op term at Deloitte where I tried scheduling a coffee chat with him, but he's a very busy guy. So the fact that he's here for 2 hours after this, I would recommend that you all take advantage of this. And of course, Kazim Uncle, he has been instrumental in helping us plan this out. Despite being a partner, despite being so busy with his life, he's helped us a lot with shaping this event to what it's happened to come out with. So a huge thank you to all three of these individuals, and I would recommend all of you to inshallah approach these individuals in your own free time and inshallah take advantage of the 2 hours that we have with them after this inshallah. So another loud salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad for those individuals. Allahumma salli ala. Inshallah, now we will be proceeding to our HR workshop. So this will be conducted by Brother Zain Ali Nasser, who is a Director of People, Culture, and PR at Oliver Solutions. This workshop is intended for him to just share a bit about his experiences and offer you tips and advice to applying to roles and building your resume. So inshallah, let's invite him up with a loud salawat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah.
صل على محمد وآل محمد. Can everyone hear me all right? Yep, perfect. Assalamu alaikum one and all. My name is Zain Ali Nasser, and thank you, Brother Usher, for inviting me up over here to give you a little bit of background from my side. I think we did talk about it. He wanted to learn, and I think he believed that a little bit about myself will kind of give you an idea of what to expect and probably help you inspire on your own path, on your own journey for those who are facing challenges in today's reality of job search. So my story begins back in 2009. I was 18 years old. I came to Canada all the way from Dubai by myself. It was a land and experience that I was completely foreign to. Previously in Dubai, I had done some few different promotional jobs. Now, as you are all aware of how Dubai life is, it is fancy, yes. Jobs are pretty good out there. However, during my high school years and during schooling, I would do these jobs and stuff during off hours, summer, peak seasons, anything. But I was under the impression when I came to Canada that life would be the same over here. The jobs would be the similar fancy type. Boy, was I wrong. My first job in Canada was actually a dishwasher. Coming from Dubai, when we had, like, lifestyle over there is a little different, so I didn't pick up a lot of dishes. I just left them in the sink and walked out. So not the best student, I would say, or kid, I would say, but however, dishwasher for me was a little challenging because I was still in my Dubai phase, or vibes, I would say. Because I would just be like, okay, this is whatever job, I just got to do it. However, life had different plans. Now, you may ask, why didn't I look for a fancy job? Why didn't I look for a promotion job, something similar that I could match it up to Dubai? One thing I realized, like, for that Dubai job, for that dishwasher job, it was closer to school because it was at school and it was working around my school schedule. So as the panelists had mentioned earlier, that you have to focus on the academics. So that's exactly what I wanted to do. Meantime, I also wanted to be self-sufficient. There's an old saying that I'm very close to. My brother taught me this. It's better to have one bird in hand than two in the tree. So because this job was there in front of me, I wanted to use it to my advantage and proceed. As my first paycheck came through, that was probably by far one of the most happiest moments, because now I was able to be self-sufficient. I didn't need my parents to support me financially, pay for rent, or any of my expenses. It was, I remember, it was, I think, $504 or $505. And I paid my rent. At that time, it was relatively very cheaper for a room for a student. I paid my rent, paid my expenses, called up my mom and dad. Assalamu alaikum, hope you're well. I appreciate all the things that you've done for me. I don't need you to help me out anymore. I appreciate it. I can manage myself now. They were happy, "Nahi beta, it's okay, no. Well, that's how parents are, right? However, I just wanted to make sure that I can manage on my own now. And like I mentioned, this was by far the happiest day of my life. Long and behold, there came a time I had to move to Winnipeg, Manitoba, because the job market was very saturated. I was a marketing graduate, believe it or not. Didn't pan out like that. However, when I did end up in Winnipeg, I was looking for jobs, and my friends would tell me about it. It was good for immigration, good for jobs and stuff like that. So I was under the impression, okay, I'll find something in marketing, I'll find. Long and behold, it was regular jobs at Walmart or at a call center or selling a kiosk. I'm not saying it's a bad job, but it wasn't something that made me fulfilled. It did not make me feel fulfilled. But as life happens, I'm leaving out the sad details because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. But I will say this, that sometimes life happens and things may not work out at the first time. But know that it's all part of Allah's plan and His divine timing. Speaking of things not working out, during those jobs, and I was again an international student as mentioned earlier, due to immigration reasons, I had to, from regular jobs, I ended up becoming a gas station attendant. Now, the gas station attendant, majority of you would be driving over here, go to a gas station, there's a guy behind the counter. I'm not talking about that. My gas station attendant job was actually jumping to the pump and filling it up myself while the customer stayed in their car. So this was a full serve pump. Now, being educated, coming from Dubai, all these things were taking a mental toll on me, to a point where because of the gasoline, my skin would start to fade out and it would fall on your hand. And there were times customers would be rude and throw money at your face. Part of life. I'm like, this is what I came to Canada for? This is what's happening? But when life happens, it's not always that bad. And I'll say this why, is because at that moment, I remember two major points. One has been mentioned by our Amir, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In Nahj al-Balagha, hadith number 250, he says, I came to know Allah, the glorified, through the breaking of determinations, change of intentions, and losing of courage. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Anfal, ayat number 30, but they plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. Long story short, in that gas station job, in that company, I ended up finding an HR position. That's where the career began. Marketing graduate, now an HR generalist. I applied out of 75 applicants, and since then it has been a history. Please know that I did not come from an HR experience. I did not come from an HR background. I was a marketing graduate. But I kept leveling up, kept teaching myself, and slowly I became where I am today. Today, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my parents' du'as, and by a little bit of tiny effort from my side, I now have alone experience of HR in 7 different industries, and I'm the youngest director of people, culture, and PR in a company that is almost half a century old. Now, a few things that I want you to take away from this from this journey of mine is, as the panelists mentioned quite a lot, was your parents. When they pray for you, believe it or not, mountains will be moved. Be kind to them, and things will work out for you for the best. Your deen, iman, the center, the people that you're close to. Make sure that, there's an old saying, I think most of you will remember back in the day, they used to say, birds of same feather flock together. I think that is actually very true, as the panelists did mention a couple of times, is the surrounding people that you have around you for your deen, for your iman, for your career growth. They have to be like-minded so that you can level up yourself. Sometimes it's not just easy doing it yourself. Sometimes you need that push from your friends. Next after that is your perseverance. You have a goal, go for it. Sometimes things will not work out, and it is going to happen. But one thing you have to understand, that if you choose to land or choose to find a successful career in your life, you will get there, believe it or not. Your community, your mosque is the best places. And I don't say this because Brother Usher has asked me to ask people to come over here, but it is actually was my salvation. I felt every time I came to the mosque back in Winnipeg that did have a lot of support and a big youth gathering over there, I felt like I was with my people. I was alongside with the people that I wanted to grow with, and all of us were just starting off our careers at that time. And now, do the same over here if you can. Come to the mosque, any mosque you are from today, far, close, Al-Mahdi, JCC, wherever it is. Go to your mosque, help out as much as you can. The more you help out in regular day-to-day activities, you will also realize that it builds your character. It builds momentum within your own mindset to be, okay, taking on opportunities. Brother Usher will give you more assignments and more events like these to handle. So try keeping your mosque close to you, people around you to close to you. Lastly, find your North Star. Now, what do I mean by that? Apart from your family and close friends, I did had a lot of naysayers. People didn't believe, okay, because you're coming from a Dubai lifestyle, everything's fancy. My friends would call me like, why are you leaving Dubai? Everything's good over here, you're set. And you wanted to make sure that you're leveling up. Like, man, I have to do this. It's for my growth, it's for my family. However, find your North Star. I had one person. That person believed in me, and from that person, I became what I was. I changed my thought process. I became who I am today. And I have a lot of thanks for that person. So it might be your friends, it might be your family members, it might be a really close friend, it might be a really acquaintance you came across at work or in a soccer game. If they believed in you, believe it or not, it will help you find your route. And if there is none, time in and time out, we do come across a lot of people that we do not have a North Star to look up to. If you do not have one, be your own North Star. Believe in yourself and what you strive for excellence. With Allah's help, your parents' prayers and your efforts, you will make it happen and find the job and career you're looking for. One last thing I want to add to this list is help others as you would like to be helped. Meaning one day you will be on this podium talking about your life, giving an example of a journey that you went through similar to this. Be sure to give back to the community. Help those in need, so that Allah will help you when you are in need. This is a story of a young individual just like you all who made it all the way from Dubai to Canada. Story of a dishwasher to a director with Allah's help and parents' du'as and tiny bit of my effort. Again, I am nothing. All I did was pray, try to do good, and put in the effort. If I can do it, I'm sure you can do it as well. The next part is more on what we at HRs at an organization are looking for an ideal candidate. Can you please recite aloud so well? Oh, my mouth's drying. I want to drink some water. All right, so let's start with some interesting facts. On an average, it takes about 6 weeks to find a job. So if you were to start your job today, inshallah, if Eid is on April 12th, we will probably find a job. It takes a while. 70% of the jobs are not published on the job boards, and they're filled through networking events such as these. And 75% of the resumes are rejected by application tracking systems. Now, can any of you raise your hands who knows what an ATS is, or application tracking system is? No one knows that? Okay, good. Okay, perfect. Brother Usher, can you tell us what an ATS is?
It filters through like your resume, right?
Yes, it filters through resume, yes, with key hot words. So 75% of them do not even make it to the hiring manager because it gets funneled out by the ATS system. Now, ATS system from our side, from an HR side, is we put up a job and there are keywords in there that we want to see on a resume. The more amount of keywords we see on your resume is the more chances you get to be seen and the resume gets passed on to the hiring manager. Now, again, like I repeat, 75% of resumes don't even make it. The average job openings attracts 250 resumes, but only 4 to 6 candidates get called in. Excuse me. Now, interesting fact about interviews. The average length for a job interview is 40 minutes. 33% of the hiring managers claim to know that they will hire someone within first 90 seconds, first 3 minutes, or a minute and 30 seconds of the interview. You just walked in and you're starting the conversation like, hey, how's your weekend been? Oh yeah, I did this. And then let's say you have a chatty catty in your hiring department and they start talking. A minute and 30 seconds are gone right there. You may get the job, you may not. I remember one of my friends got into an interview and the hiring manager was crying. I don't know which bank it was for. And he was telling me the hiring manager started crying because she had lost a pet or she saw some sad video online. And he just dwelled on that. He didn't even have the skill set and he ended up getting the job. So that's how easy it is and that's how tough it is at the same time. 60% of candidates say they have a quit an application process because it was too lengthy or complicated. I know, I get it. Honestly, it's not our favorite thing to put in. Upload your resume, but make sure you put in all the details as well. It's not fun for us to review all that, but honestly, it matches with the ATS system, so it makes life easier for all of us. I'm sure not for the job seekers. And now, one of the key things I want to talk about is the 70% of employers use social media to screen candidates. Now, anytime anyone comes out with a job application or anything of that sort, I look up candidates. I'm sure if you ask the job exhibitors today, they also look up candidates as well when they're looking up for if anyone has applied for jobs. So 70% of us do that. Make sure you have a solid LinkedIn profile. You have my name, look me up, or look up any of the panelists. They all have standard and top class LinkedIn profiles. So make sure you use that and try to copy that over as well. Now let's find the hacks for this. I think we have 10 minutes so we can go over that. The hacks for these are pretty simple. I'm going to give you the insights of it, so I hope if you can take down the notes or we can discuss it after as well. For resume writing, tailor your applications based on each resume. Customize your resumes and cover letters per the job. Now, the reason why I say this is because one size does not fit all. You have to make sure that if you want to land the job that you want, you have to try to customize each job application based on the resume based on the job application. Clear formatting. Use clean and easy to read with consistent spacing and font styles. No colors. Well, if you want to add a little bit of color, that's fine, but just don't make it too colorful. It's not becoming. It's not really I know back in different countries, they do promote that, shows variety of your skill set, but honestly, from what I've spoken to other HR professionals, they're looking for the skill set to do the job. They're not looking for that kind of color. If you have a portfolio and let's say you're into marketing, let's say you're into any sort of art side, just try to add your, let's say, a Behance page or a portfolio page that probably they can look at up so that before they call you in for an interview, They can look at these type of things and see your work, because one thing is looking at the resume and feeling, okay, this person may know what they're talking about, but if the work is really bad, it's not really going to get you forward, because that will come after. Like, hi, could you show us a little bit of examples of your work? Next is, I mentioned earlier, use the keywords, incorporate them. How do you find the keywords is the question now. How many of you have used ChatGPT right now? Can you please raise your hands? Okay, quite a few. Okay, perfect. Not a lot from the ladies' side, okay? So ChatGPT allows you to, if you were to post a job description on ChatGPT and say, please find the keywords for me, this will pop out all the keywords from the job description. You can add these keywords to your job description. So for example, if you, let's say you managed a project, how about you say you spearheaded a project, right? Majority of the time we want to see is that from an HR side, we want to see what the work was and what did it result in. How much percentage did it take? Or did you improve on any things? Proofread. Avoid typos. For the love of God, please review your resumes. It feels sad that you come from such a big college or university and then we look at the resume like, dude, why? Just press F7. It will do the spell check for you. Proofread your resume, and before you send it over to an organization, pass it on to your friends, your parents, anyone to review it so that they can find the mistakes. Sometimes the sentence fragment also don't make sense. And the sentences are long and long and all, like, dude, like, can we move past that? So you want to make sure you proofread it. Now let's talk about job searches. As mentioned by the panelists a couple of times, that identify what you're looking for. Sometimes you may find what you're looking for, sometimes you may land into something better. So as I can say that, define your goals, clearly identify and type down what you're looking for. Now I have a question for you all. What are some of the creative ways that you find job opportunities? Can you share any tips that you've done in the past that has worked for you? Anyone? Usher, go ahead.
Reach out to family and friends.
Good, okay. Anything else? So one of the things that you can do is use multiple channels. Don't just solely rely on Indeed and LinkedIn. There is utilize networking events such as this. Company websites sometimes also post up jobs. So let's say there's an ideal company, you want to apply for Google. Of course, Google will post up jobs on Google Jobs. But look up any other company. Sometimes they don't post it on Indeed because they don't want to. Indeed, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiters. Try university job boards as well. I was amazed that university had job boards for alumni students. If you are part of that alumni group, reach out to them and connect with your old classmates and stuff. So reach out from there. Do not go to Craigslist or Kijiji for jobs, please. It's not the greatest thing. You can come find me after as well. I'll give you a small set of job sites to reach out other than the regular ones that you already know. Now, one trick I used to use when I was looking for jobs is I would think of my jobs to be, or job hunt to be, an actual job. Meaning I would start at 8:30 and go up to 4:30. I would take my lunch break at around 12 or namaz break whenever I needed to. But I would keep that Monday to Friday. Now in that time frame, what I used to do was I used to customize the job resumes or the resumes and then base it on the job description. At that time, ChatGPT wasn't the greatest, so I would have to, because of my experience, I would be able to highlight and mark down what are the keywords, but that's because of an HR. But for you all who are not in HR, you'll be able to, now you can use the ChatGPT. But make it as a full-time job. Think of it Monday to Friday, you're applying for jobs 8 to 5, 8 to 4:30. Keep a separate time for you to attend calls. That'll be probably 30 to 45 minutes once you have other recruiters reaching out for jobs. Try to stay organized, keep track of the job that you've applied for. And the reason why I say this is because it's very odd when a recruiter calls and the first question like, hi, this is Zain. Yes, who are you? And what job? I don't remember applying for this job. Your impression goes down the drain right at the spot. So even if the recruiter thinks that your resume is top notch, you just lost all credibility. Now for interview preps, I think we have one more minute. So research the company, understand the company's values, recent news, demonstrate your interest. Practice common questions, prepare answers for common interview questions, focusing on your strengths and your experiences. Now, one of the things is when the question comes about, tell me about yourself. More often than not that I have seen is people start talking about their life and how many kids they have. That's all good. But I'm here, I'm interviewing you for a job. I want to know more slowly, but I don't want to know more about it. If you were to put yourself in the headhunter or the recruiter's shoes, you want to look for the person, can they do the job? So the best way I would recommend answering this is talk about your career plan. Talk about what you started, what got you into. Let's say you talk about certain projects at school. This was what I was doing, these were the projects, the result was this. This got me interested in X, Y, and Z. That way you're able to see, do not go on a tangent and make sure this lasts only 20 to 30 seconds max. Some people go on for a good 7 minutes. Next question, one of the important questions is, why should we hire you? When your research company comes out, and you don't forget to research the role as well, the problems, the common mistakes with the role, and how would you solve it. Then research on your plan and talk about more of your accomplishments that you can get out from, you can talk about your accomplishments and talk about how you will be a valuable asset to the organization. That is one of the most important things, because just like how you want money and benefits and all these things from them, they also want to see what value you're bringing to the table. Dress appropriately, wear professional attire suitable for the company culture, body language, maintain eye contact, sit up straight, talk and articulate more clearly. And one of the things that I always like, and I've spoken to quite a few HR professionals about it, is what do you like most about the candidates? I would say a good 80-85% have come back and told me that the questions they asked us after. So that means it was primarily based on the job that they were doing. So I'll give you an easy way to do that. What does a typical day look like in that role? And could you please let me know, could you please tell me what the ideal candidate looks like in your provision? Or is there any part about my experience or skill set that you would like me to clarify? Please remember one last point. Do not rush the interview. And I say this because a lot of times when we're all nervous, we tend to speak super fast. And that does not help. Because if a hiring manager or an HR or recruiter is taking our time to talk to you, they're actually taking our time to talk to you. So respect their time, respect your own time, go slow. Think about the answers before you answer them. Do not jump the gun or cut them off. It's unbecoming and very unprofessional. Anything else? I think, we have time for questions, or any questions? Go ahead.
So what if like let's say you have a behavioral interview, right?
Sure.
And they now are explaining to you a situation. They're like, okay, let's say that you have a situation where you're put in this position, what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
But in all reality,
You've never been in that position?
In that situation, what do you do then?
Great question. What I would do, or what I would recommend you doing, is if the interviewer is asking you questions about a situation, it's going to be related to the job. They're not going to ask you, have you done an open bypass surgery? Right? It's going to be based on the job. So try to relate to that with another experience. And you can be honest about it. You can tell them, I haven't been in that experience, but I have something similar. And then use the STAR method, right? Or you can just talk about what the situation was, what was your role in it, what did you result, what was the result derived from it. So that way, at least we know. So one of the key things that I've spoken to a lot of hiring managers, they want to see is the person is able to figure it out. Let's say they don't know, it's okay. Can they figure it out? Can they Google it? Can they look up on sites, get the answer? I don't want to spoon feed them. I don't want to hold their finger and walk them up. I want them to be able to do it themselves. So in understanding that point, you want to be able to explain the answer, substitute it with another situation, and then answer it. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? Go ahead.
If you could shed some light on kind of video interviews where you're not actually live with the person, but
Right.
like, you know, take a minute to record your answer.
Mhm.
And you have
I
to
hate
watch that.
those. I personally hate
Do
those.
you guys actually watch those, or do those go through a filtering system?
No.
What are some of the challenges?
When I have spoken to organizations about that, and they said, we want to do check the vibe. Like, what? So yes, they do get watched and stuff, and I know from the candidate sides as well that they have to do probably 15 to 30 takes before they can, 15 to 30 takes before they can actually answer it. And there's so much to give out, so much information to give out. They're like, what should I put in this, right? So tell me about yourself. Like, do you want a 5-minute answer? Do you want a 30-second answer? What? So yes, they do get answered. They do get reviewed by managers, hiring managers, and probably assisting hiring managers as well. It doesn't go through a system. Yeah, depending on the company as well. It probably gets sent out if it's a real person, considering all the AI right now. That's also there. But as of right now, we review it ourselves. Yes, brother.
What's the best way to answer the question, what are your weaknesses?
Good one. That's a good one. So you can be honest about it, but don't be too honest. What I mean by that is try to answer it with, I wouldn't say covering it up with a strength, but say that, for example, one of the things that I've always tried is when they ask me this question is I like to take on a lot at first and then slowly pace myself out. So that way, from a hiring side, from an HR side, from an employer side, we know that there's that learning curve within the first 3 months of your probation. So we know you're going to be making mistakes. So one of the best ways, you can always say that I take on too much, or you can also say that I pay too much attention to detail. That's not wrong. Attention to detail isn't bad, but sometimes too much is bad. Now also talk about, and if you have an actual weakness, I used to have a weakness about public speaking, believe it or not. And I joined Toastmasters. So I mentioned in one of my interviews that I was afraid of speaking on stage. And I joined Toastmasters and I tried to practice and started doing, things worked out. So that's exactly where you can show the weakness and what you're doing to improve it, and then how it has improved. Yes, brother, you had a question.
When you talk about of how people record videos, like to submit to candidates, like the higher recruiters, when they're sort of looking for a vibe, are they looking for like a personal brand of that person that stands out?
Depending, if the person, like I mentioned, they want to check the vibe, if you can get along with that person. So typically in the third interview, if any of you want interview prep questions, I can give you that as well. In the third final interview, it's usually checking if I can get along with that person. They just want to bring it all the way forward that does this person speak properly? Does this person know the job what we're talking about? Can I get along with this person? Is this person happy? These are the few things that they want to check. So at that time, just one sec. At that time, they want to be able to see if we can, overall, is this person someone we want to dive into, right? Because on paper, you can get it written by the best English prof ever, or literature prof, or grammar prof. You want to understand that a lot of time the resumes are top notch. When I speak to the person, I cannot understand them at all. I speak 6 languages. So I can get along with, I can understand, but certain dialects I can't because it's so strong. Resume is written well, but if I cannot communicate with you, how am I supposed to explain to you what the job needs to get done on, right? Yes.
What's the value of having a resume that actually reflects your actual experience?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
What's the value of having a resume that actually reflects your experience?
What's the value of it?
Yeah.
I don't follow.
Compared to adding additional things that
Okay.
you're actually not aware of.
So depending on the level of job that you're looking for. So let's say if you were a beginner to intermediate, there is that part about adding what kind of projects that you've done. But if you look at senior management, from my experience, I have seen that senior management keep a very short resume from what they've done and what were the results, what yielded the results. Do not get into more specifics. They keep it small and short, so that because as you know, and I'm sure you're aware too, senior managers, the higher level you get up, it becomes too busy for us to review resumes from word to word, exactly what happened. It's a quick glance, makes sense, this was the yield or return that yielded from this type of problem. So from my understanding, the experience, value of it, of having projects only, gives you a quick snapshot. But for beginners and intermediates, they may not have that. So they may have to prove some sort of value that they're going to provide to the employer. So that's why I recommend adding a little bit more into it. Talk about projects, talk about scenarios or any projects or any responsibilities they did. Be it volunteering, be it job. Any question from the lady side? Sure, go ahead.
You talk about the social media. So your personal affiliation on social media or your activity on social media, does HR really reduce that?
Yeah.
And can it impact your ability?
Yes, yes. So one of the stands, my Zain Ali's personal belief is that we're talking about job, we want to keep it job related. Your political views or your other love for animals, great. That's perfect. Doesn't faze me. Some individuals may have some sort of affiliation that they don't want to reflect back on, or they feel that this could cause a problem in the long run if this person's too open about certain beliefs. It could cause an issue. I personally recommend anyone who comes to me is keep it neutral. Your views, keep it to yourself. This is a work. Let's say for LinkedIn, people have their views. I support them. You won't see me sharing them. Reason why is because this is a work network. I'm not going to, my personal belief is separate from my work beliefs, right? We're all here. We all have to understand we're here to do a job. We have a livelihood to earn. Let's keep it based on that, not on your personal belief system. So yes, sometimes it does play into it. Yes, sir.
So I just have one comment or one thing I would like to
Sure. Please feel free. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yes. Definitely. Definitely. Thank you.
My question is for you that how would you answer if you have a conflict with your manager or anything?
How would I answer a conflict?
How do you going to handle? How, like you may do somebody, many people they ask, if you're having conflict with your manager or your boss or
Okay.
supervisor,
Okay.
how are you going to manage?
So a best way to answer that is try to have a conversation. A lot of times that we see even in personal lives that people like to keep it in, I don't like this person. Have a conversation. Is there something like one of the good practices that I've had and I've advised a lot of people is to regularly follow up with your manager, have a check-in every couple of weeks, like how are things, they will have you have a conversation with them, you ask them. When you build that kind of relationship, I would recommend answering that question in this form of have a conversation with your manager, regularly check in. And if there is something that has come up, understand what the problem was and seek, if you don't know how to improve on, ask your manager, how would you like me to improve on this? These are my ideas, but am I off the target on anything? You'd be like, actually, the third point was fine. Add one more point to this, do this as well. So if we have an issue that the employee was not wearing the uniform when he came into work, example, and the manager was upset about it, and he'd come to HR, this employee is not wearing the uniform correctly. Okay, have you asked him to? Yes, he should know. How would he know? Did you have that conversation with him? Advise him like, hey, I know you just started, can you please wear your uniform before you come into work? I know you go to the change room, but just when you walk in, because you come in from the same entrance from the customers, and then you go in the back, we don't want to give the wrong impression for the customers to feel that they can go in the back as well. Can you please put on your uniform or even a jacket? That's fine. He continues doing that, then there's progressive discipline. There's other policies from work, every workplace has it. But you can have that conversation. If the employee is to answer that question, be like, I did have a conversation, I didn't know that was the case. Moving forward, I will. We have to have an open mind. We cannot, I'm a firm believer of leaving ego outside work when you come into work. Because a good employee is the one who is able to manage up, manage on his sides, and manage down. Any questions?
We'll make that the last question if that's okay.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, so when you say like checking, like hiring manager check social media, is like mostly just limited to LinkedIn, or can they check like more personal forms?
They can go on Facebook too, depending on the organization. Yeah. So they do want to have some sort of reference guide towards it, that this person is not bonkers, or this person not a drug addict, or any affiliation of that sort. Because one of the beliefs, and this is something that is always forgotten, is that even after work, you're still affiliated to the work. Let's say you walk in with a jersey or a jacket of the workplace, you're still going to be associated with that, and they could put you in jeopardy. There's long cases on that too. But I think that's all. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time. Please feel free to find me in the HR review side, and I'll be able to help you out. Thank you.
صلوات محمد وآل محمد. Thank you so much, Zain Bhai, for that very informative session. Brothers and sisters, if you would like to receive one-on-one feedback with Zain Bhai, he will be available in the other hall, where we would ask that you please write down your names on the whiteboard there. We have time slots, and inshallah we can schedule you in to inshallah seek more advice. I just want to take a moment and thank all of our panelists and speakers for this first portion of the event. Thank you all for sharing your insights and knowledge and for helping us out and inspiring the future generation. I just want to take a moment now and just talk a bit about Mahdi Youth in this portion, just before we dive into the open networking portion of this event. So, brothers and sisters, as you all are probably aware, that our focus here at Mahdi Youth is not just the spiritual development of our youth, but it's also we're trying to work towards the professional, academic, and social growth of our community. And events like these serve as a perfect catalyst to achieve those goals. So, brothers and sisters, I know a lot of you here are probably students, so you can't help us, or you probably can't help us by giving a large donation or something like that. But we ask that you commit your time and help us out with organizing these type of events and volunteering for these type of things. Apart from this, our upcoming initiatives include our Camp Asad, Ramadan, and we're always looking for help and an extra hand. So if any of you are available and able to help out and contribute, we would really appreciate that. Inshallah, next we will have the open networking portion. You all will have the chance to connect with industry leaders, explore diverse career paths, and gain invaluable insights into the ever-evolving landscape of work and employment. The doors to your future are wide open, waiting for you to step through and seize the opportunities that await. So I encourage each and every one of you to approach this fair with an open mind, a curious spirit, and a readiness to learn and grow. Ask questions, seek guidance, and most importantly, believe in the potential that lies within you. Just a few housekeeping items. Brothers and sisters, if you pay your attention towards the screens, the floor plans will be showing you where each booth is. So we encourage you all to check out as many booths as you can, and inshallah network with as many individuals as you can, inshallah. Next, if you have brought your paper resume with you, we would encourage you to check out our resume review and HR booth, which will be located in the other hall next to here. That will be hosted by Brother Zain. Again, we have a whiteboard over there, so we would request that you please write down your name beside each time slot, just so we can accommodate as many people as we can. Last but not least, we will also be having snacks and refreshments served in that hall. So we would encourage you all to grab as you desire. Sorry, just one last thing, brothers and sisters. As you all are aware, and as Zain Bhai mentioned, and as well as a lot of how the other panelists mentioned, for a lot of us, our parents' du'as are what shape our future. They crave out or they carve out opportunities that we may not have seen coming before. So my brothers and sisters, I just want to share this moment and let you all know that apart from your parents' du'as, it's also your initiative. Coming here and taking part in these events, volunteering your time, play a huge role in shaping your future. So I would encourage each one of you to please step up, and not just, by coming out here and volunteering, but just like maybe giving us a bit of your time over here and there to help us organize events like these. It's through coming over here, through talking with people, that you really grow professionally. It's helped me a lot, and I would encourage that you all take this opportunity to do so. And I would just request that, as I mentioned, our parents' du'as are very important. And for me personally, my grandfather right now in Pakistan, he's not doing well. He's been a person who, I would always rely upon his du'as. And my dad's actually heading to Pakistan in a few hours. I would have dropped him off to the airport, but I had to be here. So I just ask that brothers and sisters, please keep him in your du'as. We're going through a tough time as a family, and your du'as would be very much appreciated. I would just ask that you all recite five times du'a sehat for his health and improvement, inshallah. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. Thank you all very much, brothers and sisters. I would just request that you all please stand up and stack your chairs in front of you. And then I would ask all of our professionals to please make their way down to their booths. And inshallah, we'll open up the session to the open networking portion. Thank you all very much.